Hello and welcome back. I don't have a real name for this dish, but I had a request from someone I know for a meal that uses polenta. Apparently they didn't know how easy it was to make polenta and wanted to try it, but also wanted recommendations for a recipe that didn't involve eating it like a corn porridge, so I brought up this polenta casserole. It's easy, it's cheap, and it's in the same spiritual vein as lasagna, in that it's layered carbs, meat, sauce, and cheese, i.e. reconstructed, deconstructed pizza. Then again, all Italian food is, at its core, deconstructed pizza in various stages of reconstruction. That's a conversation for another time. What I'm here to talk about today is polenta casserole and my insane food hierarchy. As mentioned in my last video, I lump consumables into three main groups: components, ingredients, and meals. Components are what you think of when your mom says, "We have food at home." Dried beans, raw flour, onions, raw eggs. Anything on a pink card are things you can consume for calories but aren't generally pleasant to eat. However, you can take components and turn them into more pleasant to eat things, like combining eggs and flour into a dough, cutting the dough into ribbons, and then boiling those ribbons to make pasta. These combinations, on the orange cards, are what I refer to as ingredients. Generally, ingredients require more than one component, but I also count things that require some sort of process as ingredients. The one that comes to mind is cream into butter. But even with the ingredients, something has to happen before it's really considered a meal. I mean, you could just eat plain cooked noodles or plain butter, but the experience is significantly improved by adding the butter to the noodles and then maybe adding some Parmesan cheese. Noodles with butter isn't fancy, but it would fit the bare bones requirement for what I would consider a meal, which will be on the green cards. Anyway, let's get into it. Start by making polenta, with a standard ratio of 1 cup cornmeal to 4 cups water. Once it's finished cooking, incorporate half a cup of Parmesan cheese and half a cup of butter into the polenta, and then turn it out into a greased dish. Because I used powdered butter, which is pre-salted, I didn't add any extra salt, but if you're using real butter, add half a tablespoon, or until you think it tastes good. Next, start on the sausage. To make it easier to cut into consistent sized pieces, I'm going to pan fry these until they're not so soft, cut them into rounds, and then in half again, and then re-add them to the pan to finish cooking them. After adding the cut sausage, add half a diced onion and let it cook in the sausage fat. The sausage won't take much longer to cook, so look for the onions to get soft and translucent. Once they have, remove from heat and set aside. Now that everything is cooked, it's time to start assembling. Add your sausage and onion mixture to the polenta and spread it evenly. Cut some basil into shreds. I use about 7 leaves. Likewise, sprinkle the basil evenly over the casserole. From here, you can make your own pasta sauce if you prefer, but for today, because I want something quick, I'm just going to use a jar of pre-made. Just empty the whole jar onto the casserole, shake it a bit to loosen any air bubbles. Add half a cup of mozzarella cheese to the top, or more if you like cheese, and cover it with tinfoil. Because everything in the casserole is already cooked, the baking time is not crucial for food safety. However, it will be better if it's a consistent temperature. Bake, covered at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes or until it's heated all the way through. A minute or two under the broiler will also brown the cheese nicely. I will be using my steam oven, which will take about twice as long and doesn't have the broiler option, but that's okay. It's almost as good. And that's it. Very easy, very quick, and very cheap. Speaking of cheap, let's see how cheap. Cornmeal came in at 29 cents, Parmesan cheese $1.08, butter 60 cents, sausage $2.44, onion 4 cents, basil 10 cents, pasta sauce $1.88 for the whole jar, mozzarella 75 cents, which comes in at $7.10 for the whole 9x9 pan. To make a 13x9 casserole dish out of this, simply double the recipe. Each 9x9 pan makes 4 servings, and that comes out to $1.78 per serving. Naturally, this can be made cheaper by buying unseasoned meat, especially ground turkey or a can of chicken, and seasoning it yourself, but for ease of recipe, I went with the pre-made sausage. That being said, any combination of any sort of meat, cheese, sauce, and polenta you want is on the table, so try one that sounds good to you and let me know how it goes in the comments section. See you next time.